I'm Galen.
And I'm Bruce.
And we live together on Ancient Oaks Farm, nestled in the redwoods of the Santa Cruz Mountains in the sleepy little town of Boulder Creek, California, seen here on the 4th of July. And we share the farm with two beloved black cats, Mix and Max, multiple gardens of flowers and vegetables, featuring huge tomatoes,
An art bus where Galen paints and Bruce makes art clothes.
a vision hut where we envision the future,
The Octo stage where we host celebrations and performances.
and last but certainly not least, three beloved black pigs, Mama, Daddy Theodore, and their daughter, Sir Francis Bacon Piglet, who auspiciously was born unexpectedly in June 2001 during our first visit here to the HUMlab.
The pigs share our barn, or digi-barn as we call it, with the roughly 500 vintage computers and associated artifacts from the 1960s, actually the 1890s onward, that Bruce and myself has collected in his digi-barn computer museum. Many famous founders of the digital world make pilgrimages to the digi-barn, including Steve Wozniak, Gordon Bell, Ted Nelson, Charles Simonyi, Bob Taylor, Lee Felsenstein, Neil Stevenson, Brewster Kahle, and they come to stand with Bruce in his crate.
For though it feels a world away, our farm is in reality a stone's throw or a short drive on these beautiful winding roads from the digital culture of Silicon Valley and San Francisco. And gardener Bruce, in the real world, is also digi-gardener in virtual worlds, a pioneer of avatar virtual worlds, who wrote the first book on the medium, started the first and to date only conference series in real life and in world, and co-founded the Contact Consortium to promote contact, culture, and community in real life and in cyberspace, and founded Digital Space Corporation, a leading provider of 3D virtual environments for clients ranging from Adobe to NASA. Bruce, in fact, introduced Patrick to the Active Worlds platform, which enabled the HUMlab wedding project, and also provided voice-enabled Avatar Worlds platform Traveler for pioneering and still ongoing HUMlab experiments. Bruce also speaks worldwide about the history of computers, virtual worlds, and the many challenges of archiving digital history, working with Stanford University, the Library of Congress, the Computer History Museum, and the Internet Archives. He's also a frequent presenter on his 10 years of work with NASA on 3D virtual designs for space exploration, and his new EvoGrid project, a 25-year quest on his part and the subject of his current PhD research to model the preconditions for the origin of life on Earth.
Gardener Galen is also virtual Galen, performing for decades as an avatar in multiple virtual worlds, including the Blue Person in BioMuse biocontroller environments and the Tiny Dancer in My Hand in the Video Place computer-controlled responsive environment of artificial reality pioneer Myron Kruger. She speaks and writes globally about virtual reality both as a healing art form and medical modality, and writes songs and stories which she performs on real and virtual stages for adults and children with learning, perceptual, and physical challenges. She too is pursuing her PhD, something you do in middle age as a couple, I suppose, writing high-tech children's musical called The Piglet Opera, which features children with autism.
Much of Bruce and my original inspiration derives from the Contact Conference series, which is an annual multidisciplinary Silicon Valley-based colloquium, which brings together leading global practitioners from the realms of the humanities, outer space, anthropology, technology, science fiction, and visionary art. Now, it was at Contact 2001 that Bruce met then newly appointed HUMlab director, Patrick. The two struck an immediately sympathetic chord, and Bruce invited Patrick, who was traveling throughout California on an early mission to raise awareness of and lure visitors to the HUMlab, to spend the night at our farm, which he did. And the rest is 10 years of shared history. Now, I was traveling and so not home during this fateful first meeting, and when Bruce telephoned to tell me about his meeting with Patrick, frankly, I was a little surprised that my husband had invited, well, a stranger to spend the night at our home, and even more surprised that the stranger had accepted. But when some months later I met Patrick, suddenly it all made sense. And when Patrick invited Bruce and me to HUMlab in June to inaugurate the HUMlab seminar series, instead of saying, well, where's that? Or, what? We said immediately, yes, we'd love to. Because we knew that we would have a wonderful time at the HUMlab and HUMlab. And we did. For as you all know, Patrick is one of those rare and delightful human beings with whom it's possible to establish, well, contact, which is immediate, deep, profound, collaborative in the very best sense, and always mutually beneficial. Patrick is open, curious, warm, highly intelligent, kind, visionary, and really funny. He asks the right questions about what you're working on, grasps the essentials and the details. He supports, critiques, encourages, challenges, knows with whom you could and should collaborate, and how to put you in touch with the artistic, technical, scientific, and human resources that you need to further your vision.
He's also an extraordinary attractor, maybe a strange attractor, and collector of extraordinary humans doing extraordinary things. When back in 2001 we suggested a list of friends and colleagues we thought he should meet in California, he visited all of them, spinning them into his growing global network of the finest digital artists, writers, educators, technologists, and thinkers. One by one they ventured to HUMlab and the HUMlab, where they too had a wonderful time. For example, here are Brenda Laurel, Howard Rheingold, Mark Meadows, and Bonnie DeVarco, amongst, I think, dozens of speakers that have come here. And so person by person, project by project over the years, Patrick has built a bridge from the digital culture of Silicon Valley to the digital culture of the HUMlab.
And what exactly is this digital culture as practiced and exemplified in Silicon Valley and right here at the HUMlab?
It's a culture represented by digital tools and those who use them, in the most simple terms, in real and in virtual world.
It's a distributed, mobile, and active culture of openness, experimentation, multiple perspectives, rich collaboration, and engagement, and of egalitarianism and meritocracy, which rewards not a big attitude, but a really big idea.
It's a culture that strives to provide universal access of resources and tools, and to put those tools and their governance in the hands of every citizen.
It's an inclusive, participatory culture, which deliberately mixes together and networks disparate elements, blending business, academics, science, arts, and which combines a certain casualness of lifestyle with a boldness of spirit, a transparency of intent and action, brilliance of mind, and rigor of thought. Patrick, a trained linguist, speaks multiple languages: the language of the artist, the scientist, the business person, the technologist, the visionary. He and the HUMlab offer a warm home and a fertile substrate for the development of digital community and culture, and that home now reaches out across the globe to all digital citizens.
It's a culture that is both visionary and practical, and that uses digital tools to visualize real solutions and solve real problems. A culture which shows us how to use those tools for the betterment of society, providing economic opportunities